What is going on, you guys, and welcome back to another video. And today we are going to be doing a video that I've not been doing in a long time. And ever since last year, I had made a video to shouting out to more and more people who I don't like. I've got even more people to shout out to who I don't like. So yes, I've written this on my phone. A list of people who I don't like. Some of them I hate, and some of them who I don't hate, but I don't like. Now, before we get into this video, this is the disclaimer that I will put on this video right now. Man, it feels good to make another shout out video like this. But anyways, let's get on with the video. And let's read the first person on this list. So, the first person we have on this list is Keys X / Tyler Wormsley. So why have I put Keys X on my list? So, to begin with, this was back in 2021 or 2022, somewhere like that. This was like in chapter 3 time. Now, before that time, I absolutely had no problems with him whatsoever until that time when it was chapter 3, season 4 in Fortnite. So the reasons why I do not like him as of now is because, one, he is always grumpy / moody, and even my good friend KR Decade agrees with that. And the second thing is this was the time he was making fun of me for getting knocked. And the one time he was making fun of me for wearing the Captain Hook skin last year on Fortnite. So if you haven't seen these two videos, check them out. And this is the reason why I've put him on the list. And the time when I made a video of someone trying to start drama with me, that's correct. That was him. He was trying to start drama with me. And because of that, like, ever since he had watched my videos, he was talking shit behind my back towards Alex / Hypex and said that my content is cringe. Well, as I said before, if you're going to say my content is cringe, then I can make an argument about you to saying that you spend 12 hours a day playing Call of Duty. And as I said before, you should not have to be spending 12 hours a day playing Call of Duty. Like, that is just absurd. If you're going to do that, there's clearly something wrong with your life. Yeah, so now, ever since Tyler said that my content is cringe, and even he saw my videos of him of me exposing him, it's just showing that he is in denial. So yeah, ever since he says my content is cringe and made fun of me and stuff like that, now I actually hate him. And I know it is quite a strong word, but I absolutely hate him. And not just that, but he is a fanboy of Ben Bowler, which doesn't really surprise me. Alright, now the next person we have on this list. Jaden, aka Little Henry. Now, who is this Little Henry guy? Well, it's a girl, basically, and she is Canadian. I have nothing against her for being Canadian or stuff like that, but how do I know her? Actually, I don't know her. It's one of Nosha and Miles Hempstead's friends, but they can disagree with me if they want to. And it's like saying, I have no problems with them, but their friend is a dick. It's just like that, for example. But to be honest with you, I didn't like her at all. And the reason for that was because she was just, in my opinion, annoying. She was quite annoying. And it's not because she was a kid back then, but I'm just saying, like, she was just so annoying and irritating. And even then, I felt like Jaden was using Miles a lot and Josh more than me. So it just felt like that she was using them. And The one time she kept doing was constantly spamming Miles to play with her, which that was really annoying. Even at the time, I was going to tell her, like, ask her nicely if she can stop doing that. But I just thought, do you know what? I'm not going to, I'm not going to intervene with that. And even to this day, like, they have not spoken to or played with each other in a very long while, or even a long time. And I think Jaden is already been long gone. But good riddance to her, because I just didn't really like her. Not because I hate her, I just don't like her. Okay, next person. Auntie Patrico. How do I know this person? I'm not going to say how I knew him, but let's just say he was quite annoying as well. And someone, which I'm not going to say his name, was a bad influence for him. So yeah, Auntie Patrico, I just don't like him, and I do think he is a hypocrite. Well, actually, the one time we were playing with each other on Battlefield 1943, I think is what it's called. Yeah, we used to play with each other on that, but what's so hypocritical is him not adding me on my friends list. But yeah, to be honest, Auntie Patrico is an annoying prick. And it's not because he's a kid, anyway. He's all grown up now, anyway. Okay, next person. Robbie Davis. So, Robbie Davis, also, I'm not going to say how I met him, but he was quite nasty to me at the time, like, for no apparent reason. Like, this was the time when someone had a lot of achievements on Black Ops 2, and then I said, doesn't matter about getting achievements, and then Robbie Davis was so rude to me and called me a whore. And like, bro, sort your fucking life out. But I didn't say anything after that. I just took no notice of him. Like, there was no reason for him to be so nasty or rude towards me. Like, it's not like I done jack shit to him. But yeah, even at the time, I had no problem with him. But he's the one who started it on me by being nasty to me. And then later on, he would remove me. Which I have no problem with that, because that's his problem. He removed me off his friends list, not mine. So, next person we have on the list, Alex Adams / Hypex, or Alex Plays 71. Now, as for Hypex, not talking about the Fortnite leaker, as for him, I don't hate him in any regards. But I have my reasons why I do not like him. So, this is a story. So, to begin with, I had no problems with Alex at all. And I didn't mind playing with him back then. Or I didn't even mind playing with him. Until the time I had just had enough with him. So, this was before late 2020. He used to not be a dick and stuff like that. He used to not be a dick. But then, ever since late 2020, he became one. And I don't know why. And even KR Decade, my good friend, noticed this. And then, ever since Chapter 3 had released, and in Season 2, this was the time that Alex corrected me. Well, don't get me wrong, and I think KR Decade would agree on me with this one. He even used KR Decade for wins. But even I play with KR Decade and Zackboy13. But do you see me use them for wins? No, I don't. Because it's not like I'm just going to constantly rely on them to play with me on Fortnite, or constantly rely on them to help me get more wins. Because that would just make me a sado and an attention seeker. But what Alex did at the time, he was literally trying to get KR Decade and Zackboy to play with him to get more wins than me, to try and make me jealous. And then the one time, this was at like 3 o'clock in the morning, KR Decade and Zackboy told me that Hypex was messaging them, asking if they were loading up, like 3 o'clock in the morning, and they were too tired to do that. But ever since now, Zackboy and KR Decade had officially blocked him. But I don't blame him for it. Now, before chapter 3, so if you guys don't remember, this was the time when, actually no, I don't think you would. Well, this was the time when I made a video called Mark Plume versus Miles Hempstead. Now, that was the time when me and Miles Hempstead had our first argument. But we can only blame one person for that. And that would be Alex. To be honest with you, Alex is the reason me and Miles had our argument. Even our first argument. In the second argument me and Miles had, and then after that we stayed away for a while, for like a year, I don't think he was to blame for it. Like, I don't think Alex was to blame for it at all. Even though it felt like it's true what Miles said about one of my friends who had betrayed me. But even at this day, I feel like I made a grave mistake sticking up for him against Miles. But honestly, there's no point talking about that, because that drama we've had is already been long gone. But let's just say me and Miles did have a small drama, though. Alright, back to the subject with Alex. So yes, he is the reason, once again, me and Miles did have our first argument. Even in the second argument, Miles did have an argument with Alex as well, and then blamed him for us having some sort of argument. And I was on nobody's side that time. And you know, I don't think him and Alex are in good, well, Miles and Alex are in good terms with each other. And I'd rather them not to be friends after all that. And if you guys have not seen on my community tab that I made about Alex, I just had enough with him. And another reason why I do not like him, not because I hate him, is because he's a hypocrite, because he's friends with me and Ben Bowler. And there is a decision that he really needs to decide on, whether he should be friends with me or Ben Bowler. But what would he do? Be a fanboy of Ben Bowler. So I just had enough with his hypocrisy and just went ahead and blocked him. And I know people like him are going to probably call me a coward, but guess what? I'm doing it because I'm being sensible. Because people like KR Decade, who say you're being sensible because you're doing that, actually have common sense, unlike most people. But even so, it is a shame that me and Alex are not friends anymore. But even if Alex had stopped being a hypocrite or whatever, then yeah, which I hardly doubt he will, like be back to the way he was before late 2020. But actually, before we move on to the next person, this is one thing I really want to know about Alex. Why is he being nicer with Benjamin Bowler and being truthful towards him, but sometimes not being very nice to me, or sometimes lying to me? That's what I really want to know, because it's the same thing like what Kieran did, but actually, Alex is not as worse than Kieran Wynn back then, because Kieran was absolutely worse back then. But yeah, let's just move on from that. No, right, next person. So, who do we have on this list? Now there's 2 people left. Trevor Lee Parker. Now, that's not actually his real name, but I do call him Trevor Lee Parker. And it's TPL 1980. So, who is this Lee Parker guy? It's one of ex-Romal's friends. And I'm going to be honest with you, he is an absolute dick. And I don't hate him in any regards, but whatever he did has made me say, I just don't like him. And why don't I like him? there were some times when I was playing with Trevor Lee Parker and ex-Romal, there were some times I was getting killed on Fortnite or what, and this was the time we played Team Rumble during the Marvel season, back in Chapter 2, Season 4, I got killed by someone, and then Trevor Lee Parker had witnessed me getting killed, and then decided to laugh at it. And then the next thing, when we were playing Warzone, I get sniped, I get knocked, and then Trevor Lee Parker laughs at me for no reason. And then next after that, we play Reload, and then he decides to laugh at me getting killed. Because it's like, whenever I get killed with me playing with him, an ex-role Mal, yeah, he will just, whenever the chance comes, he will just laugh at me, regardless. And I'm like, bro, that is absolutely rude. Because why would you laugh at someone who hasn't even done jack shit to you? And the same thing, as I said before, I have no problem with one person, but their friend is an absolute dick. So it's like saying, I have no problems with ex-role Mal, but his mate, Trevor Lee Parker, is a dick for laughing at me. And I think also Trevor Lee Parker is a fanboy of Ben Bowler. And as for ex-role Mal, I think he is now officially retired from gaming. Because ever since now he had been permanently banned on Xbox, this is now the time he would be retiring. Even though he has made another account, but he has not been active as much. Excuse me. Alright, ladies and gentlemen. It is now time to read the last person on this list. And that is Abby Woods. So, everybody, who is this Abby Woods girl? Who is this girl or guy, whichever? So this is one of my friends who my dad does not really hates now because of what happened, and that is George Santos's ex-girlfriend, Abby Woods. So if you guys don't remember the time, I made a video about this. So yeah, if you haven't seen it, this was the time that I actually feel like I've made a grave mistake doing it. But then, ever since the time when I met up with my best friend Miles Hempstead to a barbecue, he had his friend, well actually I seen him before, his friend George, which I'm not going to say his name, he told me, George told me everything. He told me the whole truth about it. Now, it wasn't George Santos's fault, though. But he should have owed me £100 after that. And I know he's going to say he's got bills and that to pay. But because he hasn't owed my dad £100 back, this is why my dad won't allow him to be in this house anymore. Or meet me or stuff like that. But, however, he can still talk to me on social media and stuff like that. That's absolutely fine. My dad has no problem with that. But yeah, this Abby Woods girl had scammed me. He scammed me. No, she scammed me and my dad. And even I did feel like I have made a grave mistake. Well, me and my dad made a grave mistake doing it. But then, yeah, as I said, my new friend, George, who is Miles's friend, he had told me the whole truth. And I was, extremely annoyed about it. And I was like, yep, I have made a grave mistake doing it. I just felt like at the time, me and my dad should not have gone over to George's ex-girlfriend's house to give her £100 to go shopping. And I think it felt like this was all an act. That Abby Woods was pretending that she had no food and no money. But now we don't tolerate people begging for someone else's problems. So as for myself, I'm not going to tolerate anyone begging me or relying on me for someone else's problems or in a very bad situation. because it causes me a hard time and it gives me a lot of trouble. Well, pretty much the same thing. So that's why, as I said before, I'm not going to tolerate it. So yes, it's not George Santos's fault, like I said. It's Abby Woods. She planned it as George, not George Santos, but yeah, my new friend George had told me everything about it. And yes, it is all a big mistake that me and my dad had made. So we had lost £100 because of that scammer Abby Woods. And as for, well, because I said ex, her and George are not together, which is actually good. Because George Santos has someone better in his life. But yeah, that's going to be it for today's video. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. A like is always appreciated. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Don't forget to turn on the notifications so you will not miss another video. And I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day and night to you all. Peace out. Underwater.